Hello everyone, this is Vitaly with Good DIY Plans, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this tote shelf and give you everything that you're going to need so that you can replicate and recreate this in your own garage. Is it easy? Yes, this is perfect for beginners. There are no fancy tools needed. It doesn't take too much time to build either. Is it cheap? Yes, the cost of the rack and the cost of the totes are a great value. Can a beginner do it? Absolutely. All you need is plywood and 2x4s. And don't even worry about cutting the plywood either. I'm going to talk about that later on. This rack fits all major brands of the 27-gallon black and yellow totes, and I did all the work of measuring each one of these so that it's a perfect fit. I know that each garage is slightly different, each situation is different, so I made a bunch of variations of these racks for you. So in the end, you're going to have the one that fits your needs. Now let's dive into the step-by-step of how to recreate this tote shelf in your garage. Here we have the 4 wide by 5 tall rack. So it's 86 inches wide, 80¼ inches tall, and 30½ inches wide. Now, as mentioned before, this rack is able to support all the major 27-gallon totes that are sold out there in the United States. So this green box here represents kind of the perimeter of these totes, and it's able to encapsulate all the major brands. So some are going to fit a little bit more snug, some a little bit more loose, but it's going to work for all those totes. Now I wanted to just quickly compare the tote shelf that we're working on today versus the tote rack. The tote rack, I do have a video for this, and some of the issues that people have been having with the tote rack, even though it's a very popular trend right now to build these, the issue is you can't really load them up too much because the rack or the totes, they actually rest on the ear flaps here or the lid. And so what ends up happening is if you overload it, the tote begins to sag and it begins to wear out over time, especially if like the ear parts or the lid parts begin to kind of wear down as you take them in and out. It could be problematic. So longevity, basically, it's not super good for longevity, and you can't load it with heavy things like books or gym weights or, things like that. Now, this is where the shelf comes in and it solves this issue. The shelf is able to accommodate these same totes, but now these totes are resting on top of the actual shelf and not the ear flaps. And so this allows you to load them up with books, heavy things, and also the rack itself is designed so that you use material optimally. So you only need 2 pieces of plywood for this because these are 24 inches wide, and it's got the back component here that attaches to the actual garage. The garage studs, so that it's secure and safe. And the totes themselves, the center of gravity is well supported. So you can really load these up. You can pull them in and out, and they're not going to experience that same wear and tear that they weren't really designed for, honestly. So let's see what you're going to need for this rack. So you will need 16 2x4 by 8 foot long wood pieces, and then 2 full-size plywood sheets. So I recommend 1/2 inch thick, but if you wanted to go thinner, that's fine too. And essentially what you would need to do is just cut them down the center. So 24 inches this way and 24 inches this way. You could do it at home if you have a table saw, or before you leave Home Depot or Lowe's or any other major kind of lumber selling place. They do free cuts, and you can load them easier and they're easier to carry. So it's not a big deal. You don't need a table saw. Now, to actually build the shelves, these are going to be the 3 bottom shelves. You're going to need 2 83-inch 2x4s and 3 21-inch 2x4s. And you're going to secure them together using screws. So these could be anything from 2.5 to 3.5 inches long. And you could use wood glue, that's optional. It does strengthen the frame. I think it's a good idea. Now, go ahead and add on top of this the 24-inch by 83-inch plywood sheet. So again, if it's 1/2 inch thick, great. You can just keep it just like this. If you are using something thinner or something that's really thin, you could consider just adding more of these brown components, and then that way the weight is more evenly distributed and better supported. So you could do that. So go ahead and secure that plywood sheet using anything from like 1.5 to 1 inch long screws. Use wood glue if you want to make it really sturdy, secure. And you're going to need a total of 3 of these. So now let's go ahead and make the topmost shelf. So the topmost shelf is going to be a little bit different because if you remember, there is a component that you're going to need that will secure to the wall or the studs of the garage. So you're going to need 2 80-inch 2x4s and then one 83-inch long 2x4, 2 29-inch and one 21-inch long 2x4. And secure all of these together with 2.5 to 3.5 inch long screws and wood glue if you'd like. So the space between these two is 5 inches, and then that brown component is just in the center. So just like with the others, go ahead and add the plywood sheet here. So 24 by 83 inches long, and then secure it together with wood glue and then screws just like before. Now for the legs of this shelf, you're going to need 4 pieces of 2x4 that are 80.25 inch long. So you're going to lay out the shelf components. So you've got your 3 bottom shelves and then your 1 top shelf, and they need to be 16 and 1/16 inches apart from each other. So to be able to do this, you can just take one of the leg components and then just take a pencil and measuring tape and then just mark it off. So 4 inches from the top, 16 and 1/16 inches here, 4 inches, 16, 1/16, and so on up until you get to the very bottom. Once you've got that, go ahead and secure the legs to the actual shelves here. And you can use 2.5 inch long screws. The reason why we're not using longer screws is because you don't want it poking through to the other end. And then here, I do recommend using some wood glue. It does make it more sturdy, and it's a good idea. So go ahead and add the other 2 legs here as well, same way you did before. Now, once you've got several of these components, you know, some might be the 4 wide by 5 tall. You could have different configurations. How do you actually connect them together? Well, it's super easy. So stand them side by side, and then use some 2.5 inch long screws to just secure them together at the legs here. You could use screws that have a big cap. Those are like cabinet screws, for example. Those are awesome for this because they're going to really bring the 2 shelves together, make them secure without causing that screw to just keep going and poking through to the other end. Now, before you can load these up, you do have to make sure that they are secured to the garage wall. So once you've got your 2 racks, you can use these L-shaped brackets. They're available like on Amazon or Home Depot, Lowe's. They're available everywhere. You can buy these and then secure one part to the back 2x4 here and the other part to the actual wall stud. So if we removed the wall or the sheetrock here, we can see that these have to align with the 2x4s that are behind them, right? Otherwise, you're just securing them to the drywall, which isn't secure at all. So you can use a stud finder and then just go ahead and secure those to the wall so that way it's secure. Now, as I mentioned before, I understand that people have different garages and different setups. So I've created a total of 13 different variations of this plan. So the biggest one that we made today is 95 and 9/16 inches tall if you use the tallest tote available out of the 7 major brands. And these can be one less, and then you can keep going down lower and lower up until you reach this point, which is a rack that only accommodates 8 totes. But this one also has a work surface. So this is 41 and 1/8 inches tall, which makes it counter height. So it's comfortable for working in the garage. Also, there is this little variation. So this is a bridge, and we'll see why that's useful in just a moment. So it's essentially just a rack that has a bridge here. So how can these be combined together? Well, you could take the 4x5 rack, which we built today, combine it with like a 3x5 and then put a bridge on top. If you have a refrigerator that you have underneath that you need to accommodate, or maybe you have a situation where you've got like a washer and dryer, or maybe like some recycling cans or something like that that you want to keep in your garage, you can do that. Or if you want to have the workbench, but at the same time you want to maximize on the amount of totes that you're actually going to be adding here, so you can do that with a bridge, or like we saw at the very beginning of the video, there's the setup where you've got no bridge, but you got a 3x5 and a 4x5 with the workbench in the middle here. For those of you who are interested in a design other than the one that we built today, which is the 4x5 rack, I do have these plans available on my Etsy shop, and you can check that out in the link below. Additionally, take a look at the video that I made regarding how to use these QR codes and an app to be able to easily scan in items and to be able to view what's inside your inventory. That way it eliminates all of that guesswork and you know exactly what you have. Thank you for watching and have a great day.